Well, no point of a fancy intro, no point of any type of funny little gag to do in the beginning before my intro for like I usually do in these post-game sort of recaps and videos and rant videos. This is not going to be a rant video. Like I said already, I've come to this realization about this New York Giants team that I'm satisfied with what I've seen. Yes, we are still in the playoff race. We'll get to that later on in this video. We'll get to what the implications are and what the Giants need to have done in order for them to get into the playoffs, because we don't control our own destiny at this point. But the Giants fall to the Baltimore Ravens, I believe 27-13. And let me tell you, this was actually a better game than I would have anticipated. I said on Twitter, I'm already seeing it in my head. I don't know why. I saw it in my head like 37-3 Ravens. And I'm like, that seems like a score that would happen, right? But I think the Giants played a lot better of a game than I would have anticipated. Now, of course, watching the game back, I have NFL Game Pass. Watching the game back, I mean, there were certain points where the Giants got completely demoralized. It looked like they got tired out, both on offense and defense. You've seen on defense, you know, the 2 straight touchdown drives in the beginning of the game from Baltimore, and you could see one thing I do have to commend Baltimore with. I don't know, I'm not familiar who their offensive coordinator is. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but I don't know who the offensive coordinator in Baltimore is, but they did a fantastic job just like breaking down the Giants defense. They know that the strong point is the run defense, and they said, screw that, we're going to run anyway, and we're going to run in the middle, which is the strong point. They disrespected us on a whole different sort of level. They didn't even attack our weakness. They said, listen, our strength is running in between the tackles and running with our quarterback and running with our, dual back set that we always run in the pistol, or our 1-2 punch in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. That's our strength, and we don't care if our strength matches up with your strength. We're still gonna run the ball. So props to Baltimore sticking to their game plan and not caring what the Giants' strengths are, because totally worked in their favor. But like I said, I thought the Giants played a really good, not a really good game, a decent game compared to, obviously the competition that they're facing and the roster that they're going up against, right? The talent that they're going up against. There were parts in the game where they got a little consistent, on defense, and they were making quite a bit of plays and stopping on third down. And there was an instance where Daniel Jones was moving down the field with sort of ease, right? The play calling was bad in this game. Of course, it's bad, but there were some bright spots a little bit. We were able to actually get some separation on those curl routes. I don't know. I guess they started letting up in the game. Baltimore's secondary started letting up in the game. I have some notes here. Maybe I should read off of the notes here. The first 2 drives of the game really told me that we were going to lose this game, right? First off, in the beginning of the game, Baltimore starts off and they drive down the field methodically. They didn't hit us with any big plays. They just ran for those couple of yards, those chunk plays, and they wound up scoring that way. And I'm like, okay, it's Baltimore. Let's see what the Giants do on defense. The Giants do on offense. The Giants went 3 and out on offense, and I guess expectedly so, as the Giants pretty much go 3 and out on offense every game that we've had. But what amazed me was how Baltimore methodically moved down the field and ate up clock in the first quarter, to the point where the Giants only had 3 plays in the first quarter. Just 3 plays in the first quarter. Get that through your head. The Giants only had 3 plays in the first quarter. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. And then you look at, I believe this was in the first drive, this was the first drive, where the Giants had 2 consecutive false starts. They were at a 3rd and 7, which is like a 3rd and manageable. Then they were at a 3rd and 12, obviously 3rd and long. And then they had a 3rd and 17, which is 3rd and forever, right? So those penalties, and the Giants had a lot of penalties in this game, especially false starts. That's something that everybody is guilty of. The offensive line was guilty of false starts. The wide receivers were guilty of false starts. I mean, it was bad all around. This team needs to be more disciplined. They got demoralized. That was part of the segments where I felt like the offense got really, really demoralized. the offensive line. You know, they had those 2 consecutive false starts. And then they have 3 consecutive sacks given up later on in the game. And, you know, props to the Baltimore defense. Again, it's not like they just ran the same thing over and over again and it worked. You know, I kind of broke down from the broadcast film, whatever I was able to do. You know, the first blitz that they gave was a delayed linebacker blitz, and I thought it was well thought out. The linebackers kind of froze, and then they went in there, and then the offensive line didn't know what to do from there on. And then they hit him with a double A-gap blitz. It's a classic blitz, pretty much works all the time. And then they hit him with a fake double A-gap. Then they allowed one of the double A-gap blitzers in. They dropped one back, and then they sent a nickel blitz. So they were really, really creative with that. I thought the Giants' offensive line in the beginning played decently well. I don't know how far I want to stretch that word, but I feel like they played a little well in the beginning, and then they start to let up a little bit as the game went on, obviously giving up those 3 sacks in a row. I thought Daniel Jones actually played a good game. I thought he threw the ball extremely well. He threw a deep ball extremely well. I think he didn't complete not one deep ball today, yet he had 252 yards in the air. And he had about 4 or 5 deep balls that went incomplete that hit these guys in the hands. Now he had one that was completely nowhere in the vicinity, which I'm gonna make a meme about later. Just completely nowhere in the vicinity. I think that was just a miscommunication on a wide receiver. But I thought Daniel Jones played himself a good game. If this game tells you anything, it's that the Giants really need wide receiver help. You know, the offensive line played bad. They gave up like 5 or 6 sacks today, right? I completely understand that. But there was a point in time where the offensive line was playing well and you saw no separation and no advanced play calling for the wide receivers at all. I mean, we saw these guys running slants, stop routes, spot routes, all of that, right? And you know, the double slants that with the one spot in the middle that you know can get a little jumbled in traffic, and you're just asking for an interception on those concepts. But listen, the Giants need wide receiver help, and I really think that's what they need. And I'm really, really getting ticked off with Jason Garrett just a bit. I know I've been on this bandwagon that Jason Garrett needs to remain on this team just to see what he does next year, but I'm getting ticked off at this point. I mean, Freddie Kitchens had with the same playbook. It looked like a whole different offense with Freddie Kitchen calling plays. Now, we only scored 6 points in that game with Freddie Kitchen calling plays, but we were able to move down the field in a different way. It seems like the more repetitive we get, the more easier we are to get figured out, and the Giants, you know, get stopped. So, I mean, that being said, I don't know what else to really bring up. Okay, the Lamar Jackson situation, man. Listen, there were a lot of times where we had Lamar Jackson. We were able to cover downfield. Lamar Jackson had nowhere to go. But the instance is this team will never stop a dual threat quarterback or a running quarterback because our best players happen to be the slowest. Dalvin Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and our fastest players are not the best players, right? You got your Cam Browns out there, and I don't even know, Tate Crowder, right? These guys are fast, but they're not great. Okay, they're not great with awareness. They're not great with angle tackling. They're just not good players, but they're fast. You know, we need a fast, good player on defense, and you know, we don't have that, and that's what the whole there was like 3 or 4 times I counted that Leonard Williams was able to get in the backfield and potentially sack Lamar Jackson, but he was able to spin out of it or run away from it and either incomplete a ball or complete a ball downfield. I mean, those have to be drive killers right there. Those are drive killers. Sacks are drive killers. So we need a guy that has the speed to catch up to these running quarterbacks because we just don't have one right now. We need a big play wide receiver. I can't stress this enough. We need a big play wide receiver. Darius Slayton's not the answer. He dropped like 2 balls in this game. Austin Mack dropped a key third down in the beginning of the game. I will say, Evan Ingram played himself a really good game. I liked what Evan Ingram brought to the table. He looked like he played hard today. Sterling Shepard also played hard today. Hats off to those guys. Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard, they played themselves a good game. Daniel Jones as well played himself a good game. Wayne Gallman played himself a good game, but we just didn't see enough of him. He had 6 carries for 27 yards for crying out loud. He was averaging 4.5 yards a carry. In the half, he was two rushes for 9 yards. That's it. And then on the other side of the ball, the Giants' rush defense at half gave up over 150 yards at halftime. halftime. And that's just the Baltimore Ravens bread and butter. They've been doing that for, I believe, 7 consecutive games now. Reaching the 100-yard mark, I believe, before halftime. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong on that. But reaching the 100-yard mark in a game. So, they're killing it right now. Baltimore's killing it right now. They have a really different offense, and it's working. Hats off to Lamar Jackson. I have my critiques about Lamar Jackson, but he played himself a good game today. Made some good throws. So that being said, guys, I don't know. There are probably other stuff to mention, but not important enough at the end of the video. So that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Woo!